We're on our second lesson as we look at the bottom and what that means about hitting bottom. There's a lot of discussions and a lot of things said about what bottom is and what bottom is not. And this is our second look at it. And we're just walking through parts of step 1 in the 12 by 12 to try to help us. And so it says it is obviously necessary to raise the bottom the rest of us had hit to the point where it would hit them. By going back in our own drinking history, we could show that years before we realized it, we were out of control, that our drinking, even then, was no mere habit, that it was indeed the beginning of a fatal progression. And what they're saying is, y'all, it's not where you are right now. If you go back in your own history, a lot of us, even in high school, in our early ages, we were out of control then.
That's right.
We just to say, you know what, well, I was able to go on to college, or I was able to hold a job. But you were using every day, and then you was using in large quantities. That's not normal.
That's right.
You know, when, you know, the marijuana that I smoked in the 80s is not the same marijuana y'all smoke today. All right, let me say that. But I was smoking a $10 bag of weed a day. That's like 40 joints. So if I am smoking 40 joints in a day and drinking 15, 20 beers and a half a pint of liquor in high school, would you say that I had a problem?
Yeah.
But I went to school though. You see what I'm saying? And I was able to function. But that ain't normal. So we got to look back. That's what this is talking about. That the fatal progression had already begun, although I was functioning. That makes sense?
Yeah.
When the bottom is raised. See, step 1 said the bottom was raised to hit us rather than us hitting the bottom. That's important. An honest admission of defeat. The only way that we can have the bottom to raise to hit us rather than us hitting the bottom, the first thing we got to have is an honest admission of defeat. Have you been whooped?
Oh my.
You know, there's always that one person that can be tore up on the floor that keeps saying, I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
You know, like we Rocky Balboa or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get it. No, you done took a whooping.
Yeah, look at what. That's right.
A willingness to accept help.
Willing.
A willingness. That's one of the spiritual principles is willingness.
That's right.
The big book says that some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way. We stopped. But we got to be teachable, y'all. That's what that really means.
Yeah.
And we got to allow somebody to help us. But check out what I said next. An openness to self-examination and new information. So if the bottom is going to be raised for me, I am going to have an openness to self-examination.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to be able to look at my own self honestly and say, you know what? I can't handle this. And why did I put a self-examination first? They say that this is the only disease that has to be self-diagnosed.
Yeah.
We go to the doctor and the doctor say you have diabetes, you have this, you have that. It's not that everybody don't know that we got it. That's the only way that we can accept it and do something about it, sister. It's not that your mom didn't know you had a problem.
Right.
She could have told you a long time ago, you're an addict.
That's right.
Or at the very least, it's something wrong with you. I don't know exactly what it is.
That's right.
Even if she couldn't have put a label on it, she could say it was something. But guess what? Nothing can be done by you until you diagnose yourself and say, I got a problem. Because step 1 says that I have to admit that I'm powerless over my addiction and my life is unmanageable. Not my family, not the community, not my children. I have to admit it. That's what that is. And and openness to self-examination and new information. Boy, we got a hard time with new information. But the book says you can't grasp a new idea on a closed mind.
Yeah.
So I gotta just be open to at least looking at it somebody else's way. That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
It gets better. It says, to the doubters, we can say, perhaps you are not an alcoholic after all, excuse me. Why don't you try some more controlled drinking? Bearing in mind, meanwhile, what we have told you about alcoholism.
Yeah.
What have they told us about alcoholism? That it is a fatal and progressive disease. But if that's not enough, you going back into your history, if that's not enough, we got some other things that you can do. You might need to take the test.
Yeah,
There's a test.
that's right.
You know, I started to bring some props, but I wouldn't have made it myself.
Yeah.
You know, get a handle,
Yeah.
a jug of liquor,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, some pills and sit up here and say, if you're not convinced, take this and go do the test.
That's up.
Guess what, y'all? It is important because a lot of us in here have been in these places or this place before and had to go back out there and take the test
All right,
because you
top
wasn't convinced.
Top it
Like
up.
just maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
I can have just one.
Just one.
So it is better to go on and just take the test and see if you're gonna pass it, so you can go on and get with the business
Yeah.
of recovery
That's
and
right.
stop playing with yourself.
That's right.
Because you got to be convinced that you know. It's like salvation. You know what they say over there across the street?
Yeah.
You got to know that you know that you know that you are saved
That's right.
without a shadow of doubt.
That's right.
So I'm going to borrow their word. You got to know that you know that you know that you an addict.
All right.
Can't be no wiggle room.
Yeah.
Because this disease is trying to find an opening where it can manipulate you into trying.
That's right.
So go take the test. I took the test August the 1st of 1992.
Wow.
You know, the guy said, man, I got him. I said, I want one.
Yeah. Yeah.
4 days later, I was still smoking. So you know when I came back, that's why my sobriety date is August the 5th. And I knew then, I am one of you all.
Yeah.
I cannot use successful.
That's right.
I just can't.
That's right.
That don't make me weak. That don't make me a bad person.
That's right.
But I cannot use. And we said last week, bottom is not a destination, remember? Bottom is when I become willing to do whatever it takes. That's bottom. So, the using test for addicts who don't believe. First one, some people need to try one more time to be convinced. If you're not convinced, you need to try one more time. It's gone. Go get you one. You know. And we'll pray and hope that you make it back. Because
Yeah.
everybody don't make it back.
That's right.
I guess it was 3 years ago now. We had a group, one of our larger groups that we had in a while. They pictures out there on the wall. I think it was maybe 9 guys graduated. It was only 2.5 years ago. 3 of those guys are dead today.
Wow.
One died 2 weeks ago. And all 3 of them died going back out, taking the test.
Taking a test.
That ain't no scare tactic, that's just the truth.
Yeah.
One died, they in his car a block away from his house.
Wow.
One died in the bus station, catching the bus back home.
Wow.
And the other one drank himself to death. 3 guys in one group.
Wow.
That's scary. I met with one of the guys from that group yesterday, and I was like, man, how you feel? He said, man, I know one thing. I can't go and use. Because I know for a fact I may not make it back based on my brothers.
That's right. That's right.
You know, so if you got to take the test, bear in mind, you may not make it back.
I'm not.
Yeah. But it's worth it if you're not convinced. Why is it important? Which one do you think is better? to go and take the test today or wait 2 or 3 years and go back out and use and keep on this roller coaster. It is better to go on and get it over with now.
Get it over with.
You know, if that's what you need. But you don't have to do that. You can do this. You can check your using history. If you don't want to take the test, then just go back with honesty and check your history.
Check it using.
Your history will tell you you can't do no control using.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Because when's the last time you won? When was the last time it went exactly the way you had planned? Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Way back in the day where your using went exactly the way you had planned it? Oh no, it's not. No, it's not never. Because there was a time early on where it went well. I remember 1978. I seen the mothership land. I did. I seen the mothership land. And I had a bag of weed that I snuck into the convention center. I had a fill of liquor that I snuck in there, and I seen it. And it went exactly the way I wanted it to go. And I was young and in high school then. Boy, but I had fun. I still remember. I remember Glenn Goins walking out and saying, "Swing down, sweet chariot Southland, let me ride." I remember that. So you know what I know? There used to be some fun. But in August the 1st of 1991, it didn't go that way. I was selling my shoes and my watches and renting my car because my disease had progress. You see what I'm saying? So if I can go back in my history and look, I ain't got to go and take the test no more. All I got to do is just go back and realize that, ain't no more 1978 events happening for me. I can't do that. That don't mean I can't go into a concert. I just can't go to a concert in you. Check this one out. It gets better. Listen to family and friends with an open mind. See, there's some people who love us that we don't listen to. That's been trying to tell us for years. Now guess what, y'all? They don't have to know everything about this disease to be able to speak into your life. See, we disqualify so many people. You know, you probably have done that to her. She don't know what she's talking about. Right? Now, she may not know everything about the disease of addiction, but she know enough to tell you you might not ought to go, and you may not ought to use. That's enough. We be open-minded. You know, we disqualify her. She don't know about it. She don't know what they're talking about. That's what I used to do. You know, you had to have the right credentials or the right history or the right something to speak into my life. Or I would disqualify you. So we got to be open-minded. Therefore, anyone who thinks that he stands, take heed lest he fall. We're gonna watch a short video clip and we're gonna see if I can do this and get back to where I was. And if I can make this happen, y'all, this is gonna be a miracle. So everybody pray and everything that we don't lose everything. Go.
A friend of mine gave me some advice. I forget the actual quote, but it basically said, "Embrace your life. It's pain, it's sorrow, it's adversity." And I think that one of the things you realize as you get older is there's going to be bad days, there's going to be dark days, but you got to embrace it because that pain is what makes you stronger. Success is not measured on the days when the sun shines. Success is measured on the dark, stormy, cloudy days. And if you can't absorb failure, you're never going to meet success.
One of the best things that could ever happen to anybody is hitting rock bottom. For a couple reasons. I mean, it's I've seen anybody that's ever done anything big in their lives, they will share with you about a moment of hitting rock bottom. The reason why rock bottom is very, very important is because it tells you nothing comes easy. But you know, you yourself, when you hit rock bottom, you learn a lot about yourself when you hit rock bottom because you find out what you really are made up of.
That's why we love to invest in entrepreneurs in Shark Tank that have been battle tested. Failure is what makes you strong.
You make decisions and come out of things when you hit rock bottom and you start realizing this thing goes by like this, life goes by pretty quickly, and how you respond when you hit rock bottom will say a lot about your life.
If you don't learn how to master the breaking point, you may have many ventures, but you will not accrue massive success in any area because you have not mastered the breaking point. Every time life runs you to a breaking point, you will give up and quit. You will back away and run. You will say, this is too hard, this is too emotional, this is too stressful, and you will back away. You cannot be a champion until you have survived a breaking point.
Run! You should run, because you shouldn't live in darkness. But if you keep on running, you're gonna see that light. In the beginning, it just looks like a little circle. That's when things start working out a little bit. You start to say, hey, I'm getting the hang of this, I'm getting some rewards from this, and as you keep going towards it, what happens to that little circle, right? It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you just keep running, and you start to feel the euphoria and the passion and excitement associated with getting closer and closer and closer until it starts to absorb you.
What did y'all see? Somebody tell me what they got out of that. If
Keep
anything.
running, keep running.
They ran and they got close, but they fell.
No matter what, they didn't stop.
Don't leave before the miracle happens.
Just press forward. Just keep pressing forward.
Okay.
But he fell.
Did you see the end?
He fell.
Okay. But he kept trying, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that T.D. Jakes said that you know what? Who wants to use somebody or have something, like I said this morning, that ain't been battle tested?
Yeah.
And once we go through bottom and we go through that, then we've been tested, y'all.
Yeah.
That chair has been tested that you sat in.
That's right.
And you know what? They know exactly how many pounds that chair will hold. God has to send you and allow you to go through some things first.
That's right.
One of the worst things that can happen to us is that we get all of those things that we want back and we ain't been tested. Only to hurt those people and to lose again. Most of us can't take another devastating loss like that.
That's right. That's right.
So why not stay and go through the test? Because one more would take you out, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, that's why we say in these rooms, I may have another relapse in me. I don't know if I have another recovery in me. And what that means is, I can surely go out and use again.
Yeah.
But you know what? Can I go through all of the hell
Yeah.
to get back to where I am again?
My.
That's why a lot of y'all can't get this. Because your tolerance
Oh, my.
for the process of getting back to where you need to be is so low, Keith. And after a while, you know what? You start giving up and you be like, you know what? I just can't do this again.
Yeah.
Do what? Go through the process. Go through treatment. Start all over. And so we just stay out there and use.
My.
That's why when you ask the person on side of the road, when they say give me $1, or they have a sign, they just say, you know what, I ain't gonna even lie. Give me some money so I can buy me a beer. And you be like, let me get you some help. And they be like, no man, just give me the beer. It ain't because they just want to drink, it's because, you know what, I don't want to put all of the effort in. I just don't have that in me right now. That makes sense? That's what it is. It gets better. Check this out. It says, even the last gaspers often have difficulty in realizing how hopeless they actually are. But a few did. And when These laid hold of AA principles with all fervor, with which a drowning seized the life preserver. They almost invariably got drunk. What happened, y'all, in the beginning, got well, I'm sorry. What happened in the beginning, they only took the last gaspers.
That's right.
They only took the desperate people in the fellowship, because you all in the room wasn't fool with y'all.
Yeah.
Because y'all got too many standards and all of this stuff. Like, you know what now? My kids, my job, my this. No. So they said, you know what? We're going to stop dealing with people that have anything. So we just going to deal with people who are homeless and ain't got nothing. So they ain't got all of them standards.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Because that stuff would get in the way. That makes sense?
Oh yeah.
And stuff is getting in the way for a lot of y'all.
Yeah.
3 parallels between a drowning person and a recovering addict. Check this out. An overwhelming sense of fear and panic.
Oh my.
When somebody's drowning, you know what? They have it. Boy, when you get somebody in a near-death situation, you can get their attention real quick. And drowning people are like that. And that's the desperation that we are supposed to have as recovering people.
My.
Because next week we're going to talk about at the end, it says, I have to be as willing as the dying can be. As willing as the dying can be. See, they had an overwhelming sense of fear and panic. But check this out. A dangerous state of selfishness. Family and friends, y'all need to know this. When I was in the 7th grade, I took lifeguard training. And one of the first things they taught us is a drowning person is dangerous.
Yeah.
So you just can't jump in there and try to save them. They said, wait.
That's right.
Let them go down a couple of times and fight themselves to their weak, and then you can go in and help them.
Yeah. That's right.
And mama, you know what they said? That when you jump in there and they still have a little strength left, you know what you're supposed to do? Hit them right in the head. Bam!
That's right.
And get their attention.
That's right.
And say, be still. And then just grab them and bring them on out.
That's right.
Because if you jump in too early, they will drown you too.
That's right. That's right.
And addicts are like that. That's the parallel. If you jump in and try to help us too soon, we drown you too.
Oh my. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
A lot of y'all got gray hair, you done aged, you done spent all of your money, all that. You drowning.
Yeah.
People looking at you and saying, are you using too? They don't know you come to use in person. Both of y'all tore up. Yeah, I be thinking that sometimes when they come in, and I interview them and be like, now, which one of y'all coming for help? Yeah, that was a joke. With a little seriousness to it though. But guess what? You done thought. Some of us, as normal people, you look, if you're not careful, we will. Because with us, everything is right now.
Yeah.
And everything is urgent.
Yeah.
And it don't be nothing, but it's right now.
Yeah.
And you can't live in that state. An attitude of gratitude and hope. When you drag that person that was drowning up and you say they lied, they grateful.
Yeah.
That's why we call ourselves a grateful, recovering addict.
Yeah. That's right.
And that's why I say every time, and I am excited.
Yeah.
A grateful addict is a sober addict. You get it?
That's right.
It is when I lose that gratitude is when I go back out.
That's right. That's right.
Because I can't use in a state of gratitude.
That's right.
Yeah. It is when I go to complaining and start seeing everything that's wrong with the world that I get into a dangerous spot. But when I can maintain that gratitude, I stay clean.
Yeah.
And hope is an outlook on life that's positive. That's what we gotta have. That's the parallel. And we all have some lessons learned.
Oh my.
You know, I was telling the class, you know, my 3 kids that's up here, you know, my oldest daughter, my middle daughter, she's 27. So when I taught her to swim, I just took her out there. I taught her the way I was taught. I just took her out there, threw her in the deep, and went and sat down and said, come out or die.
Come out of that.
And she's alive.
Amen.
She's still mad at me about that today. And my other kids, once I had learned a little bit, I put them in swimming lessons.
Amen. Amen.
You know,
Yeah.
lessons learned. I found out that that was not the best way to teach a 6-year-old how to swim. But she's alive, and she's the best swimmer. Out of all my kids. I don't know what they got to do with anything, but I just threw out there. And she can swim. She said, Dad, why? I said, baby, I learned, you know. And we had a little more money, and situations were a little bit better. And I learned that, you know, you can go to jail. So, nobody report me. All right? That was 22 years ago, and she's alive. All right? Nobody's gonna report me. Anybody else teach their kids how to swim like that?
No.
Got one. He got a daughter. He taught her. And was any of y'all taught like that? See? It was a whole bunch. And see the lady. She got taught that way. They didn't teach you that way?
Oh no. I was taught that way.
Yeah. They didn't teach you that way? Can you swim? They teach you swimming lessons?
Well, back in the day, they don't do it like in no more. Dallas Public School, that was part of our PE curriculum. They would take us to Alamo and give us swimming lessons.
How old are you, man?
8.
Can you swim? Ask your parents, can you go to the pool with me? They're like, nah. No, not with you, partner. That's funny. Alcoholics who, check this out, y'all. This right here is powerful right here. Alcoholics who still had their health, their families, their jobs, and even 2 cars in the garage began to recognize their addiction. As this trend grew, they were joined by young people who were scarcely more than potential alcoholics. You see that? What started to happen, y'all, when the bottom was raised, it's going to say something real powerful. Check this out. They were spared the last 10 or 15 years the rest of us had gone through. So guess what? If I do all of those things that we just talked about, I can be spared those last 10 or 15 years of literal hell. How old are you, Mimi?
24.
See, guess what? If she get this, she don't have to come in like those 2 ladies. She can be spared that.
That's right.
But guess what? If she don't allow the bottom to be raised up, if she live 15, 20 more years, she be sitting up in here like this.
That's right.
And wondering why.
That's right.
Because she couldn't accept this information. She couldn't accept that she was an addict. And so, you know, we got to stop this. Where I just, you know, we'll be saying, you know, I guess I needed to go through that. You know what, y'all? That's the dumbest statement I've ever heard in my life. I guess I needed to learn. No. I read this book by Bruce Wilkinson. It's called Secrets of the Vine. And the whole book is written on John chapter 15. And he talks about this little table, this little incident at the dinner table with his family. And he said that him and his sister was a little more compliant than he was. And all parents have a look. You got to look, right? When you look at him, he kind of know. Ain't got to be no words exchanged. And he said that his sister knew how to be obedient at the raise of the bride. That his mom would just do that right there and she would comply. He said, but not me. He said he had to be taken upstairs and leather had to be applied to him. And he said that, he had to learn that he had to learn how to be obedient